Rangers go out there, get another win, and they do so led by Igor Shesterkin. You heard CeeLo just mention it, 54 saves in an incredible double overtime victory at the Garden. They go up 2-0 now. But Igor deserves his flowers. Not only is he doing it this year, 6 straight postseason wins, Rangers playing like the best team in the league. Oh, by the way, they were in the regular season. Also having postseason acumen before and postseason success. This is going to be the year, I feel it, where Igor wins the cup. But Igor Shesterkin, BT, he should be talked about the way that everybody around here talks about Jalen Brunson.
So let's make sure we don't turn this into a let's prop up Igor and somehow disparage Jalen Brunson, which I know you're not trying to do. Igor Shesterkin's insane. The Rangers, they're just giving you the sense now that, and I know Ranger fans who've been locked in all year have felt this. I'm not breaking news here, but, this really could be the year. So, always talk about touching the money. I'm not going to do that, but the Rangers look insane. I don't even think they played a great game last night.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I'll let, people who dissect hockey a lot more frequently than I do dissect if they want to, but they were far from perfect except when he needed to be. So the Rangers right now are fantastic. Igor is insane. You know what it is? I was thinking about this, and like the Igor Brunson thing, it's not even a natural comparison, but on some level it is, because you think about, the darkness the Knicks have been in, the Rangers and how long it's been since they won the cup. And the last time the Rangers won or the Knicks were great, you had Messier, you had Ewing, you had Leach, you had Ewing, you had Graves, you had Ewing, you had a great goaltender. I feel like if, and I'm not going to lean on what I think a lot of people think I'm going to lean on. I don't think that Igor's getting overlooked because there's fewer hockey fans. I don't think that Igor's getting maybe the short end of the stick in terms of pub because hockey's not quite as popular as basketball, even if that could be the case in terms of sheer volume of people. Mm-hmm. I think what it is, I really do, there has been such a gap between really going forward, Frazier to Patrick to Brunson, right? Forget about Melo and Bernard King for a moment. But the last Rangers goaltender, besides, before Shesterkin, was better. Igor's incredible. He's not even Henrik Lundqvist yet.
Well, it would be as if Brunson followed Ewing directly. That's what's happening.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, where Shesterkin followed Henrik. And now Henrik's an all-time great. I think you're onto something there, but I do think there's a part of it that has been taken for granted. Just because Shesterkin has been so good since he's been here, because he's been accomplished, because we're waiting for him to hoist the Stanley Cup, I feel like he is being taken for granted a little bit in the big scheme of things. Even us yesterday, even myself included, we omitted to put Shesterkin in that group where we're talking about all-time greats in New York or guys already cementing their legacy. When we talk about Jalen Brunson, he's already putting his name in the conversation with Ewing and with Messier and with Eli. We didn't mention Shesterkin in there. Mm-hmm. Why is that? He's done more than what Jalen Brunson has done. Now, last night was a great win on top of it, but that doesn't all of a sudden just leapfrog him into the conversation. It's been a body of work since he's come into the league following Lundqvist, which, by the way, I can make even a case that's harder to do because you're following the footsteps of a great
that's
goalie.
An interesting point. When you are following somebody, the criticism. Think about when Tino followed Don Mattingly. I remember Tino was getting booed in April. It was April.
Right.
Because he wasn't Don Mattingly, and Tino got off to a slow start. Now, I can't prove this. Now, I believe this, all right? And again, we're not making this like Team Brunson and Team Igor.
Because
we are lucky.
Yeah, you can't rip either. Yeah, you're right.
Rip.
Yeah.
You rip. Right. What the hell is there to rip?
Right, I know.
All you can do is praise. These guys are now, felt and spoken about in reverential terms. Whatever is just quite short of the NBA Finals and the Cup accomplishment, these guys are there. It is amazing, the adulation that they feel from their fan bases, but I can't prove this, right? I can't prove it. But I suspect if you took Brunson and just got rid of him for a moment, right, and put an average in terms of stats, in terms of, the advanced metrics that they use to do that, like WAR for basketball, put an average point guard in Brunson's place, they're a lottery team. If you take away Igor Shesterkin, who is equally amazing and on some levels more impressive than Brunson on some levels, right, and you put a similar average goalie, the Rangers are still a playoff team. Yes, come on.
They certainly wouldn't
Rangers
be
have so many more better players than the Knicks.
Yeah, well, that's why. But that's why we talk about the Rangers winning a championship. They can win a Stanley Cup. We do not, or at least I don't think the Knicks can win a championship. So
I don't think they can win it either. I've been on the record with that.
So it is different when you're grading the two teams. But Igor, even you saying that, while you may not be entirely wrong, even that is disrespecting or underappreciating and valuing with what Shesterkin is doing and what he's done. The Rangers are in the conversation. The Rangers won the President's Trophy. The Rangers are in the conversation to win a Stanley Cup because of Shesterkin. All the other stuff is nice. The special team's terrific, and it was again last night. Trocheck, Clutch, and Panarin, and Zibanejad, all the other, Fox, all the attributes.
Yeah, they came out for that last shit. Let's go.
Yeah, they've got everything. The head coach been terrific. They've got everything. Without Shesterkin, they have no chance.
I agree with the cup, but now without Brunson, we're talking about, hey, maybe we get lucky with a ping pong ball again.
Right.
And I don't know that there would be that. Listen, there'd be a huge drop. They would be nowhere near the cup. They certainly wouldn't have won the Presidents. You're right. They wouldn't be up 2-0 on the Canes, that's for sure. They wouldn't have had home ice advantage in the first round. They wouldn't have it throughout. They just would be a completely different profile. And quite frankly, they probably wouldn't be playing in round 2. Like the Rangers would be done. I got all that. But, man, I mean, if we're going to try to, and it's an interesting way to do it, like the whole Brunson Igor thing in parallel, and by no means take away the greatness of either, because they are,
right,
I mean, they're at the top. You got Judge, you got Soto, you got Igor, you got, not Judge right now, but you know what I mean. Like, they're on the highest level of New York athletes. I think the Knicks would be absolute garbage unwatchable garbage without Jalen Brunson. I think the Rangers would just, and maybe I'm wrong, just with average goaltending play, they're sneaking in and probably getting swept in the first round. And probably like the Capitals.
I mean, or look at the Islanders. I mean,
the Islanders.
And by the way, the Islanders have a decent goalie, but nowhere near Shesterkin. And what happened last night specifically, like Rangers don't win that game without Shesterkin going nuts.
There's no way.
Yeah, so, and that's happened, though, a lot, especially in the postseason, where, 2 years ago, forget about last year, 2 years ago. See, Igor's even more accomplished than Brunson. Brunson is just getting started here. And you're right. If you say anything in favor of one, it makes it look like you're minimizing the other. We're not
doing that at all.
Ultimately,
not trying to at all.
Yeah, and ultimately, BT, you're right. Like, we have two of the budgeting greats in this town going at the same time together, and it's not a coincidence that they're having the most success, together in 30 years or whatever with the Knicks and Rangers, led by a superstar in Igor Shesterkin, and for the Knicks with Jalen Brunson.
877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the Fan. Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata Show. What a game. What a win by the Rangers. Igor is insane. Charlie's in Bethpage. What's happening, Charlie? How are you today?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
Charlie, I got to bounce you, brother.
Good.
Sorry, give us a call back. Let's go to Oakland, New Jersey. Kev with BT and Sal. What's up, Kev?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Okay,
Let me
Kev.
first start off say I hate the Rangers. I'm a Devil fan. But Shesterkin, all right, is way more important to the Rangers than any other player. He's more important than Brunson. And there's very few like individual players in sports besides quarterback. And it does apply to basketball, though, where one player can make a huge difference. The goaltender's out there the whole time. Shesterkin's better than King Henry, though, like you guys like to call him.
Well, not yet.
He won nothing.
Not yet. He might. Look, I think he could be better than Lundqvist when all said and done.
But listen, though, people talk like Lundqvist, and he was good, all right? But, he didn't win.
No, he was great. Lundqvist was great.
No, great is Brodeur, Sal.
No.
All right, they changed the rules for goaltenders playing a puck because of Brodeur. Think of
Brodeur's great too. Kevin, I don't want to talk about Brodeur today. Yeah,
Kev, hold on. Kev. I do have a question for you, because sometimes greatness is elusive, like Patrick and Lundqvist, and it's not always their fault. Let me ask you a question: who was playing goal for the Islanders dynasty? Who was it? We all know who it was.
Billy Smith.
Okay. Is Billy Smith an all-time goalie? The answer is no. The answer is no.
He come up big in big game situations.
I understand that. No, I get that,
You
Kev.
can't say Lundqvist isn't great.
Stop.
You sound like an idiot.
If Lundqvist wasn't in the net, the Rangers, some of those games would have lost 4-0.
That was standing on his head to get this team to a Stanley Cup Finals. And in that Finals, did everything he could to get them a win.
I mean, Brodeur is top 3, top 4. Hasek, I mean, he's right there.
Brodeur's one of the greats of all time. Nobody's debating that. But we're talking Igor and his place in New York sports lore. Now, Lundqvist already has earned his spot. Lundqvist and Ewing were so good, respectively, that they're there without winning a championship.
Yeah, and that's
rare. How good they are.
That's a good point. All right, 877-337-6666. Yeah? Gotta love that Rangers energy. That place was on fire last night.
I will admit.
On fire.
You know how I've been saying, like, I wasn't nervous at all about the Rangers. I was comfortable.
You've been pretty cool and calm about
Right.
it, sure.
Yesterday was the first
confident.
game where I was a little on edge, like, oh.
At the start or what point? Like the highest point of inflection. When was it?
After the Rangers tied it and then got down again.
That was
3-2. Then I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Just only because yesterday I'm sitting here talking about odds makers, kiss my ass. Rangers are going to win tonight. I just didn't want to have that hung on me.
Yeah,
so
whatever.
I was a little more nervous, but it was still paled in comparison to the years past where the Rangers it was, tooth and nail, battling back and forth where you have real nerves. Overtime is never pleasant. Like, that's always a miserable experience. Like, getting your prostate checked out. Nobody wants to have that happen. It's necessary. Sometimes in hockey, you got to go to overtime and get a win, but it's not necessarily pleasant. But it was at the end once Trocheck put that one home. But I was a little nervous. Now, no longer.
I know
this.
now. Here we
baby.
go. Now we get really confident.
We want the cup.
We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair reminded that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Let's go to Brian and Islip, BT and Sal Show. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, I didn't think I was going to follow a prostate exam reference, but oh my God. So anyway, Jonathan Quick saved Shesterkin to be fresh now, and he played his ass off all season. I think he is just, it's not more important than Shesterkin this year, just how he played, how he came out of nowhere, and with all the time he gave and all the games he gave. Yeah, Igor's amazing, and I love him, but I don't think he, on a consistent basis, what Quick did, I think, is like an unsung
How's Quick looked in the postseason?
How has he looked in the Well, not as good as Igor.
Oh, he's looked great sitting on the bench because that's where he belongs. I mean, my God, see, this is another thing. Wow. I get what you're saying about Brian. I understand it. Like Jonathan Quick throughout the course of a regular season, just like Glenn Healy in '94. Like, you're going to need the backup goalie.
There's a name for you,
just
Glenn
like
Healy.
You're going to need the backup goalie to do something throughout the course of the regular season. Sure, nobody's minimizing that. This is not about Jonathan Quick. The fact that you would even bring up the backup goalie is our point. It's about Igor and his greatness. Nobody's worried about Jonathan Quick right now. He's where he should be on the bench. I'll tell you another nervous moment where that idiot on Carolina almost took out Shesterkin there yesterday.
Yep.
And that's another one, because if anything happens to him, they're toast.
Yeah, they are. They are. Although I did hear that Quick delivered quite the passionate locker room address. I think it was after the first period. You hear that?
In between overtimes, he was saying.
No, I think it was in between. I thought it was after the first. Thought it was after the first period.
Look, he's a great leader and an accomplished champion and a great goaltender in his own right.
And he allowed Shesterkin to get his act together when Shesterkin was a complete mess in January.
100%.
Now, here's the thing. And listen, just like, Jalen Brunson's and I'm sure has had, not a crazy drop, but and has had a little bit of a drop statistically. Like, what happened to Shesterkin in January? Well chronicled, worst goals against average in the NHL. We talked about that a little bit. Like, he got benched. He was an absolute mess. I'm sure Lundqvist, like every great player, had ups and downs. Did Lundqvist ever sink to that point where
I don't
he
recall
was benched
like that.
for a week or two or whatever it was?
Especially after having the high. Lundqvist went through, like you said, everybody goes through their moments. But that was concerning because, like, hey, what is he? It was still at the point where we weren't 100%. We thought he was great.
Yep.
Then a little struggle in the postseason last season with the Devils. And then this year to start, and you deal with that adversity. Once you come out the other side, though, now there's no concerns. Before you take the next call, I mean, we've had a Devils fan call and talk about Brodeur. Yeah. We've had somebody else call and talk about Jonathan Quick.
I even mentioned Billy Smith. Where you go?
Guys, where are the Ranger fans? Come on.
Glenn Healy as well.
Yeah,
what about Beezer and Richter? What about Eddie Mio?
It's about
in the
Igor.
early 80s. I remember Eddie Mio, 82, 83, something like that.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Let me get, how about Jake and Merrick with BT and Sal on the fan? Jake, what's happening? Hello, Jake.
Hey, guys.
BT quick with
I'm sorry about that, Jake. That is. I'll take the L on that. If you can get back in, it's going to be tough. But if you can, I'll put you back up. Steven Fairfield, what's happening, Stevie?
Hey, fellas. I wanted to talk about Igor's ability to play the puck. I know we're focused a lot on his saves.
He's much better at that. Much better at that than Lundqvist. Much better.
Yeah, and in these long series, and the longer you go in the playoffs, part of the game plan of their team is to just pound those defensemen, dump the puck, pound those defensemen. That's why Rempe's so effective, right? He's abusing those defensemen, and the defensemen have to be aware of him.
Yeah, and what? It's 3 minutes on the ice? I mean, what are you talking about, Rempe being so...
I'm saying that the only reason he's playing is because he's beating up those defensemen. My point on Igor is his ability to get out of that crease quickly and play that puck and make that initial breakout pass out of the zone is saving these defensemen from getting abused by these other teams, by these large forwards coming in. And it's really going to benefit the Rangers the deeper they go in this, because the defensemen are not going to be as beat up as they might have been with the goalie that can't get out and make that initial pass. It's a huge part.
Yeah, it is an interesting point, because that is something that Lundqvist, whenever he was out of the net, you were like, oh my God, get back in there. But with Igor, he's a magician with the puck. So he's got a great skill set. I do think, when all's said and done, and I know it sounds similar to what you said about Brunson versus Ewing, BT, I do think Shesterkin is going to be better than Lundqvist.
But you're not prepared to say it like I am. I've already said it about Brunson in terms of impacting winning.
Well, because Lundqvist is more accomplished. So I'm just giving you my thoughts. I believe Shesterkin, first of all, I think Shesterkin's going to win at least a cup, and I think the first one's coming this year. And so that's going to already give him a huge boost in that. But I believe I think he's a better goalie. I mean, I really believe Shesterkin could be next level. Lundqvist was great.
I'm going to plead ignorance on. I know what he does better. I know. I mentioned the stick handling. I know that. But I don't know what he's not quite as good as Lundqvist was.
Well, it's also different teams in front of him.
Little drop off.
It's also different teams in front of him. Remember, too, Lundqvist played in front of teams that were very good defensively by design and blocking shots and all that
Didn't
stuff.
score a lot of points.
Yeah, well, that's another point too. But it was by design, and I always felt that was kind of backwards. If you're going to have a great goaltender, then you shouldn't rely so much on blocking shots and defense. Move the offense a little bit. I remember I actually had this conversation with Kevin Burkhardt years ago. We were at a Ranger game, and this is many, many years ago. And it was the early going of Lundqvist, and he was talking about like Lundqvist being better than Richter. And
so like mid to like 2007-ish, around.
Yeah,
I think he came up in 05, something like that.
So right around there. And he's like, this guy's better than Richter. And I'm like, better than Richter? Come on, bro. Wash your mouth out. Like, Richter's Stanley Cup champion. And obviously Lundqvist turned out to be, he didn't win the cup, but he was a better goaltender pound for pound than Richter.
Yes.
Well, I think Shesterkin's going to be the combo of both. He's going to have the cup and be that type of goaltender.
Okay, I got you. Jake's and Merrick, we got him back up. Jake, BT, and Sal, sorry about that, buddy.
No worries. You guys hung up on me right away.
That was an accident. Absolutely. Well, see, when I hang up on people, it's an accident. When Sal hangs up on you, it's because he wants to hang up on you.
That's it. Listen, I want to chime in a little bit on the Jonathan Quick situation. What that guy did for this team, during the regular season, I forgot what it was. I believe it was an 8-game winning streak. He having a glue guy in that locker room for at this point in the in the season, making a deep run into the playoffs, is a lot more important than people think. He might be on the bench, but he's having a locker room guy, a veteran guy that won a Stanley Cup and now trying to bring a Stanley Cup to New York. I think a lot of people, he flies under the radar a little bit.
But you know why, Jake? Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think you could probably apply that to other sports and other positions, that sage voice. I mean, the reason he flies under the radar, except when he played, when Shesterkin was playing poorly, is because not on the ice. I mean, how long can you react on the radio to somebody behind the scenes who we're not watching?
Right.
So, I'm not saying he's not a part of the overall narrative of the building of these Rangers. He's had some influence on the season, including last night when he addressed the team, and they responded. But he's not playing.
Yeah, he's a champion. He's a winner. We acknowledge all that. We're talking about Igor Shesterkin and what he means to the team, and his 54 saves means a lot more than some speech. I'm not trying to minimize the speech, but, Igor's the one out there stopping the pucks. Igor's carrying this team. Igor Shesterkin's name belongs amongst the greats in New York sports already, just like we did with Jalen Brunson.
And he's getting overlooked, and that, by some, and that's kind of the point. Igor last night, I don't know, was that the best player performance in New York so far this year? I don't know, because Jalen Brunson's had a handful, and it's obviously up for debate, but we are blessed to have them both played and in their primes, and it's go time.